my friends in Buffalo that have gone to the mat for the Bills, or family members that have gone to the mat for the Bills, or neighbors and coworkers. I mean, that city is just an amazing sports town. It's amazing for the Sabres. It's amazing for the Bills. But the Bills are the heartbeat and the soul of that city. And they have right now an extraterrestrial playing quarterback. Josh Allen is doing things today that I think you could argue have never been done. Who has been that large, physically that imposing, that fast, that strong at every level? His arm is a howitzer. He runs like a gazelle. He's got the power of a running back or a linebacker. He's got the athleticism of a much quicker QB or wide receiver. And he's not turning the football over. He's making every good decision. He has now hit the gear in your career where the experience is now in your brain, and physically you can do everything you did when you were 22 or 23 years old. He is at the absolute apex of his powers. And I hope beyond hope that the Bills support system is there for him this January. And that defense, which gave up 500 yards passing and 5 touchdowns to Jared Goff and had 48 points to defend, and nearly it wasn't enough. I hope that's not the reason that the Buffalo Bills don't get to the promised land this year. Because what we are watching from Josh Allen is historically amazing. Historically amazing. And you can put his numbers up against many of the other greatest passing seasons of all time. When you add in the rushing numbers, what he is doing, and did it again against arguably the best team in football on the road today. That is incredible. That's incredible.
Without Mahomes, that to me clears the path for Josh Allen. Not the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's what that does, because this Chiefs game needs it to be ugly. And right now the Buffalo Bills are anything but ugly.
Well, I actually thought that even before the Mahomes injury, the Bills had a really good shot to knock off the Chiefs. I think that they will knock off the Chiefs if they face each other in the postseason. And that was before the injury. I really do. But specifically with the injury to Mahomes, and again, he has played through injury before. He has looked like he's been less than 100% and kind of, dragged his half a leg or whatever that was, a hip, a knee, an ankle to win. So this is not something we've never seen before. I thought the Bills, we saw this in Buffalo a couple of weeks ago, just match up really well against the Chiefs. The problem is the Bills defense can get shredded. And we saw it against the Rams. And today, look, against the Lions, the Bills defense let that be a game, has let that be a game the entire night. That's the problem. But the Chiefs can't take advantage of it because they just don't have the offense. My worry is that the Bills are going to put up 42 points and lose a football game of the playoffs. Who that is to, though, I don't know. And today's game is, I think, an exclamation point on that. The Bills, if you can go to Detroit and put up near 50, the Bills offense can run with absolutely anybody, but their defense has to hold up its end of the bargain.
No doubt. And I think you're hitting on too. And I think all these playoff games are going to set up this way. So many of the teams we're talking about, Detroit, Buffalo, Philadelphia, Kansas City, what they need more than anything, talk about these players' health, all the points they can score, how the defense needs to play. What they need, DA, is an early lead in the game. So, Bills, Chiefs in the playoffs, Lions, Eagles in the playoffs, Steelers, Chiefs, Ravens, Buffalo, whatever. These games will be determined, in my mind, by which team gets a hold of how they can run the game early. Can you rely on your running game? Can you balance it, right? Can you stick to using your physicality and not, like the Lions did today, fall behind far enough where even though you can throw the ball, you don't have that two-pronged attack like you normally do because you're running out of time. You got to get the points. You got to get there. You got to get in the end zone. So that's what I think it's going to come down to ultimately is, the Buffalo Bills, especially like you said with that defense, you're going to need to protect your defense with a running game. And the way to do that is going to be to get an early lead, not get in a track meet. That scares me if you're the Lions or the Bills, who that might be the Super Bowl battle, DA. But it's kind of interesting because usually the teams who throw it around the yard and can't stop anybody don't end up in that big game, right?
You're right. You're right. And it'll be a sin if one of these teams loses a 19-13 battle in the playoffs to a team like the Steelers, because they're going to be like, oh, no, it was the one day that they couldn't put it together. But, I mean, the numbers in this game are absolutely insane. Let's just go over this for a moment here. Jared Goff threw for 494 and 5 touchdowns in a loss. Jared Goff threw for nearly 500 yards, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions in a loss. Josh Allen had 362 and 2 touchdowns. Again, no picks. Ran for another 68 and 2 touchdowns. So Josh Allen goes for 425 yards of offense, 4 touchdowns, and wins 48-42. Who doesn't want to see this Super Bowl? Could you imagine redoing this at the New Orleans Superdome coming up here in a month and a half? How incredible that would be. And the pressure of those two fan bases, those two cities, desperate for a win. This, if we get this to the Super Bowl, I think America, can go home happy no matter what happens.
No, that's very well said. And doesn't it feel like Allen has to be in the Super Bowl this year with how he's playing right now? Like the funny thing is this week he's the beneficiary. Last week he was Jared Goff. He was 6 freaking touchdowns, 342 passing yards, 3 rushing, 3 passing, 82 rushing yards, and loses 44-42. Yeah, no, I think that game would have it all. I mean, I think, Dan Campbell and his motivational tactics, his energy, right? Buffalo being the team that always seemingly when they get there just can't get over the hump. You have that fan base dying for that championship and that Super Bowl. You have them finally likely in that sense conquering the Chiefs and getting to that spot. And then also, DA, one thing I do like, I like when the best teams get there and everybody knows this is best on best. Like these were the 2 best teams in the season. Like the Lions are the consensus best team in football. Even though they lost this game, they're a team that if they're healthy come the playoffs, nobody wants to play. I think America would be thrilled by that. I think the Lions, of course, playing in a dome would be thrilled by that matchup as well. Though obviously Allen might end up winning MVP. He's still the front runner, I think, after this. And so you never want to play the team who has the one guy who's the trump card. Like that's what happened to the Niners last year. Everyone watching that Super Bowl, I think, could look on the field and say the Niners, in a lot of ways, looked like the better team. The Chiefs had Patrick Mahomes.
The problem is going to be the Bills are probably going to have to play wild card weekend, because even after Mahomes' injury and the Bills have this incredible output, they're still 2 games back with 3 to go now. So they have the tiebreaker head-to-head, but they got to finish tied to the standings with the Chiefs. The Chiefs have to lose 2 more football games this year. Hard to imagine that in the final 3 unless Mahomes is just flat not playing. So that's how significant that injury is as well, which you can do it. I mean, the Chiefs just did it last year, winning a Super Bowl, playing wild card weekend, but you'd much rather, if you could, be able to have home field advantage throughout Buffalo, play divisional round and championship weekend, and then head into the Super Bowl with that long break.
DA, how about this?
Yeah.
Dan Campbell, tie game, minute left in the 4th quarter, 4th and 3 at his own 36 in the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing that just popped into my head. That would, talk about viewership and a huge spectacle. That would go nuclear.
One of the great moments in Super Bowl history, right, is Dan Campbell with a lead going for it on 4th down inside his own, deep inside his own end. We'll see how that ends up.